And we're live.
So the first thing to mention is that I'm going to be passing the baton off my chair seat over to Larry, who's also here at Microsoft, actually helped build and run our attestation service. So from a tech standpoint, Larry's probably more suited than I am to actually talk through the details with everyone about attestation. And I will still be around as much as I can, but I'm shifting my focus onto supply chain security, which dovetails very nicely with all the work in attestation. So I will still be around, but Larry's going to take over my seat to chair.
Thank you very much, Eva, for all your contribution and organizing the group, and especially setting up it and help with the charter and the bootstrap with Linux Foundation and whatnot. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure, as you say, we're going to see you around again, and good luck with your endeavor, and go and fix the internet, please, for us.
I'm going to try. Yeah, and you all know how to reach me on Slack. Any questions, or if there's a meeting that there's a topic you think I really should. Dave is reminding me that we might want to do a vote on this, I suppose, but I would like, if we do go through a voting period, I would really like Larry to pick up my my seat. I think it's a really good fit. And yeah, I will still be around. If there's ever a discussion that you want my presence, please just ping me on Slack or drop me an email. And the next topic to bring up is the Open Source Summit North America in Seattle is coming up. There's a discussion right now happening over us, the CCC, getting a half-day mini conference slot facilitated by the LF staff. And I want to ask folks here, will you be in attendance? Do you feel it's worth having an in-person like quarter day or a couple hour get together to go through, talk more about attestation? Or if not enough people are present, then it's better to just do it online.
Yeah, so the question is exactly who will be there? Maybe who's able to travel by that time? And I'm sure I can't. But maybe other people will. So as long as we have critical mass, I think it's a valuable thing to have the meeting face to face. And but really,
do you want to do a show of hands or poll, or just speak up, or
could I just restate the co-location of to which event?
Open Source Summit, Seattle, September 27th through 30th, if I remember right. So pick a day during that time that we have critical mass sometime between September 27 and September 30 in Seattle. Of course, there would be remote participation as well, I expect, but would we have critical mass to have a face-to-face portion?
So to participate in that, do you have to register for the whole summit?
The last time that the CCC met at an event, no, because the CCC room was considered separate, but I guess that's an interesting clarifying question we can ask.
Yeah, I don't have an immediate answer to that. I know for some of the LF events, the tickets are separate for the co-hosted events, but I'm not sure about this one.
Yeah.
My company opens up travel for non-customer touch, then I'll be there. It really depends, and I won't know that till probably end of August.
Okay. Do we have any strong yeses?
From my side, I will be there, and I expect the TAC to have a face-to-face portion.
Yeah, this is not a show of hands, it's the opposite. I will be in Amsterdam at that time. So I can travel actually, but I will be at Seattle.
Okay, so it sounds like we have one yes and several no's, or probably not. I will be on site for the event, but pending when this gets scheduled, I might have scheduling conflicts. So I will attend if possible. Any other questions or discussion on that? Okay. Thomas, I'll pass today's meeting chair back to you.
Okay. Okay, so next item on list is the Verizon demo, and I'm sorry to say we won't be demoing that today because we are currently upgrading the whole thing, and as we speak, I'm working on the implementation of the endorsement interface that I presented earlier in June, and revamping the whole thing basically. So our timeline is end of July for having something ready. In fact, we are gonna do the bulk of the work during the ITF hackathon, which, by the way, is a very interesting event, and I suggest everyone on this call to have a look if you have an interest in implementing these kind of technologies. There's going to be EAT, I think there's going to be TEEP, Verizon, and maybe others. So I will be sharing I will share with you the link for the hackathon, which by the way is a completely free event, so you can register without at no cost. It's organized in there are many tables per topic, and if none of the tables suits your build, and you can create your own and bring your own technology there. So it's really an open event, and a very interesting one, very interactive.
Question:
So,
do you have a link to this event?
yes, I will share it with you very in a few sec. Okay, so this is the splash page. You have the registration and other things there. I might find
I'm not seeing anything you shared. So
on the chat.
Oh, on the chat. Okay.
Yeah. It's on the chat, and there's also a wiki page here with the state of the art in terms of tables and organization, networks, and agenda, stuff like that. So you can have a look at the various technologies.
Thomas, can you?
Yeah.
So can you specify which specific event you are talking about? Because I guess I registered for the event, but it was not free. There was some registration cost, if I remember correctly.
No, the ITF meeting has costs, but there's also an option to participate with a waiver and have it at no cost. So you basically
This year you're talking about the hackathon, right? And the hackathon is always free.
Yeah, but the hackathon has absolutely no cost associated with that.
Right.
But even if you wanted to participate in the ATF at this point in time, you can apply for a waiver and just get to all the sessions without paying anything. If you're in a situation that you cannot pay for, you don't have a sponsor or something like that.
Right. Thanks.
Cheers. Okay, so this was the Verizon demo, being shut down for the moment. We will come back to you in a couple of weeks, maybe a month, depending on how we want to schedule the next meetings. And then we have next on the agenda, we have the attestation use cases, and we need Mike for that, but I don't see Mike here. So I'm not sure how to. Also, I've taken a look at the Google Docs page, and there hasn't been any activity since last time. So maybe we can reschedule this and ask Mike to take the lead. Then there was Dan putting forward a November 2020 webinar feedback, which I don't know exactly what it is. Dan, are you here? No, Dan is not here. Maybe on vacation. And so unless anyone knows what this is supposed to mean, we can skip to the next maybe. Okay, I take this as a let's skip. And so the next thing is Muhammad asking questions regarding the terminology, particularly the fact that attester is not well defined or is ambiguous in the RATS architecture, or is used in a way that is not matching his understanding. So Muhammad, can you please speak up and say what is your concern with the RATS terminology?
Yeah, sure. So in general understanding, an attester would, in English terms, let's say, would mean that somebody or someone who is going to attest someone. And I was quite surprised that it's the other way around, that attester is something which is under attestation. So I was thinking maybe an attestee or something like that would have been a better name, but I've not gone through the full document of this architecture. I'm going through parts of it. So maybe somebody can explain. I've seen that it appears in a number of documentations, not only in RATS architecture, but also at various points. So maybe somebody can explain what was the intuition behind this naming. So in academia, at least, we have various names, and it would be nice to have some synchronization among these names, at least, or try to understand what was the intuition behind naming it like this.
Oops. So I tried to paste in a link to the dictionary definition. Attester, the object of the verb attest, is a statement. So you attest to a statement, you don't attest to an entity. And so the entity doing the attesting to the statement is the attester. Right, so attest means to affirm to be correct, sure, or genuine. The date of the painting was attested by the appraiser. I'm just reading from the dictionary definition, right? So here you're attesting to a date. The person that attests to the date of the painting is the attester. And so the intent is to be consistent with the dictionary definition. Thesaurus attester, okay, attester, someone who affirms or vouches for the correctness or truth or genuineness of something. And so here the device that sends the evidence is affirming the correctness. And of course, that affirmation needs to be tested or appraised by the verifier. But the belief is that it is completely consistent with the normal English definition, and that's where it came from.
I think, Dave, just because I have struggled with a similar terminology issues. I think part of the concern or the confusion here is that a lot of people would consider that the role of the verifier is the attester, because the verifier is the one who is making the statement about the validity of the evidence being presented. And the attester is the person who is requesting, and please correct me if I'm wrong in my understanding, the attester is the one who is requesting the verification of a set of evidence.
Yeah, I'm just responding to the comparison in plain English and in like legal speak, right? Attest means to bear witness or give testimony. And so if you think about the legal context, you have a witness that's bearing testimony, and you have a judge or a jury that's trying to act as what the verifier is here. So the attester is the person on the stand in a legal sense. So yeah. Osama was asking about what normal English means, and I'm just explaining the RATS definition is consistent with normal English. And Larry, you're saying, well, there might be some special cases where other people have misused it with respect to the normal English sense.
I wouldn't say misuse. I think there's some ambiguity here. There was always ambiguity here, because we also have the endorser that actually attests the validity of the evidence created by the attester, which is called an endorsement, which we now call vouching for, because that is more precise. And the unfortunate problem here is that the English language did not foresee the complexity of trust relationship management here, and we had to choose, and the choice is well founded, because the term attester was used as the creator for evidence for over 15 years by TCPA, then TCG, and was inherited by other bodies like Global Platform and such. So that is a known term. It was attestor, attester at some point. That was just a letter, but that is common terminology actually in the trust domain, and there was a year-long discussion actually about how to call any entity. And yes, I see the confusion, and that is why this ID brings a minimal terminology sections with it, a small glossary that helps, and even the abstract even already highlights which role is what. You know, so we go really through all the movements of addressing the audience and to reduce the confusion. Of course, if you have not read the architecture or even its abstract, it might sound a little bit ambiguous, but I assure you it is not.
So your point is the intent is to be consistent with other standards bodies who had already used the term attester in that meaning, TCG, et cetera, for many years. Okay.
My question is, do we have a disconnect with academia then? So the vocabulary that is used in academia is different.
Thomas Harjono published about this 15, 20 years ago and called it an attester from MIT. And I'm relatively sure there is references out in academia that use it as this all the way up to today. But there might be other publications that we are not so acutely aware of, and examples of these would help to get the problem, maybe create more guidance.
Can you maybe just post one example of that paper which you are referring to, other than TCG and this stuff, and that might be helpful, because I have seen the other words like appraiser and the target. So that's by so that's the common thing which is used by Gutmann. So a well-known researcher in, at least what I see here, or what we normally use is this kind of wording. I can post the paper, but that would be nice if you can.
It's the same term that Gutmann uses. You're talking about the principles of attestation paper? MITRE paper?
Yes.
Yeah, it's this. Yeah, we're citing a lot of his work. That's a 2013 paper. I think just you know, Mohammed, just to save everybody time, these are the terminology that's 20 years old. So I don't think TCG is going to change it. I don't think RATS is going to change it. I mean, you know.
Yeah. No,
because,
but
yeah.
Thomas is right, and I didn't see that he's here.
Yeah, and even more complex, there's a thing called a tester environment or testing environment. That's the one that's a headache.
Yes, but
I'm
again,
not going to go through it today. I'll let
okay.
Hank take the bullets for that. Hank and Dave can take the bullets.
Yeah, no, but Thomas is right. If you're referring to that in original principles of attestation document that was published in 2013, we are actually aligning to that. So if you're under a different impression, we should explore, maybe not here but offline, how you arrive to that conclusion, because that was literally the basis for the terminology here. Right, so maybe we can have a small offline resolve of that.
I think in my view, what basically Mohammed's point is a valid point from an English perspective. If you see everywhere, a creator is the one who creates, an attester is the one who attests. So an authority,
an endorser
who
endorsed, and a verifier who
yes.
one who verifies. Yes, and that doesn't make any sense without a context that we provide.
No, so, it's simple. It's simple like that. Employee is the one who employs. Employee is the one who gets into the organization.
Yeah. So the attester.
So
but it's true. Here's a simple one. So my router is attesting to itself. There's no one else that can speak on its behalf. It has to attest. That's why we've got a verifier. The verifier is going to check all the claims within the evidence, right? The evidence is the thing yielded by the tester. So we are consistent with the English.
Yeah, there's actually an alternate usage of a test that I've heard people use, but it is not in the dictionary, at least not the one that I looked in here. I looked in the free dictionary. You're welcome to look in, Merriam-Webster or OED or whatever your favorite dictionary is, I said, normally the definition is you're attesting to a fact, right? The other one is that I've heard people use is you're attesting to a remote entity, which is not the dictionary definition, but I've heard it in common usage. And here it's still consistent with that because you're attesting to the verifier, right? In the RATS sense. Now, of course, the RATS document never uses in that language, but those who do it would still be consistent with that. But I think Hank's point is a tester is ambiguous unless you say the context. What is that you're attesting? Are you attesting a fact? Are you attesting to something or whatever? And until you put it in the context, then a tester by itself is ambiguous. And so it's the context that disambiguates it.
Yeah, I think makes sense actually. A tester as a standalone becomes very confusing, but I don't think we should be discussing too much on this, because I am sure, as probably Henk and others mentioned, that it's not going to, RATS or TCG is not going to change the term. So maybe just refer to the glossary and move on. It would be the best bet here, in my view.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, Yogesh maybe get it right. So it's fine to continue, but my concern was mainly that the roles, the terminology mentioned by someone itself was a bit ambiguous. So it is kind of a recursive definition which says that a role performed by an entity whose evidence must be appraised in order to infer the extent to which the tester is considered trustworthy. I mean, the tester definition itself is using a tester for its definition. I see no way in which it is clear or precise, but I get your intuition or the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe a good point that what we can feedback is more clarity on the definitions in the RATS architecture, perhaps would be a good feedback.
You welcome. Feedback on that is welcome. As you all might be aware, a compromise is a solution that nobody is really satisfied with. So this definition is
if you have feedback on the RATS architecture document, the appropriate way to convey that feedback, because there's only a tiny number of people active in the RATS working group on this call, meaning probably 5 or less on this call here, and the RATS working group is a large group. And so the appropriate way to provide feedback is either post it to the RATS mailing list so that the public can see it, or attend, and virtually is fine, attend the RATS meeting and bring it up in the meeting, where the mailing list is always the preferred one, since that allows more discussion or whatever. So that's the best way to provide that,
or raise a GitHub issue on the seeking clarification.
That's true. That would do it too, although fewer people will see it as a GitHub issue. So if you raise something on the list, then it probably gets filed as a GitHub issue. So it's fine to do both. Yeah. Now, whether something happens is a different thing, but if you want something to happen, one way to increase the chances of something happening is to actually propose text.
As one of the other people from RATS, you can't, this is the process to do it. You're hearing from all the people who do go to RATS that it's unlikely that this is going to change it. So that's the process, but
if you have a slight wordsmithing, yeah, if you have a slight wordsmithing that doesn't change the meaning, but makes the definition in the terminology section clear in your view, then that's, you know, far more likely to be accepted than a change in the meaning, if you will.
Yeah. I think my point would be that if RATS cannot absorb the feedback and is not willing to change, it would look like a bit not right way of doing things.
Well, I would say, as Hank was saying, RATS's position is to be aligned with TCG and other standards organizations that have already published specifications that have definitions. And so to have the same meaning, even if it's a slightly different wording of the definition in an IETF context. And so it's unlikely to want to change, to diverge from the other organizations, because there's people from other organizations that participate in the RATS working group, right? There's representatives from TCG and FIDO and so on, where Henk is one of the representatives from TCG, being one of the TCG chairs.
Sure, I understand the conscious effort here is to align the terminologies in various bodies. Makes perfect sense. Clarification to clarify an already existing definition would certainly increase the value of the document rather than having more forks to the same term.
Can the CCC do something in this space, or no? We should stay silent.
Implementation guidance was one of the things that were discussed as a requirement in the IETF. So there were some arguments about my implementation team has to digest this document. And what I hear here is I digested this document and it was confusing. So implementation guidance that leads to solutions should, of course, and must effectively disambiguate this confusion in a meaningful manner. So a hackathon where people are like, oh, I just labeled my verifier attester because I think it was the attester, that's confusing to me, a small fact gathering act, and then some how-to brain dumps that can be generated at the hackathon could be valuable input into a coding convention design tool thingy for CCC. Because this is about doing things and applying them. And so if there's a problem with the source that might not be really addressable due to the dependency to a multitude of years of reasons, then the practical engineering side could take charge here. And then if CCC is producing anything, then maybe the streamlining of that solution building, right? So so that might be a lane to address that.
Yeah, or we could, I mean, the thing is that we seem to have already solid terminology that comes from TCG that is solidifying in the ATF, and we want this to be the reference, right? So can we link to those things, right, to make the, you know, the target nodes even more authoritative from here? That's what I'm asking. Do we have a place from where to link and, you know, increase the rank of those nodes?
Rank of nodes? Do you mean meaning of words in context?
I mean the, you know, the authority of those sources, and by sources I mean the TCG and the IETF RATS architecture document. That would be my main two things. If there's anything else that is consistent with those and can reinforce the concepts in that way, then we should definitely want to have a single source of aggregation for this material. And I think we have resources here to by either white papers or the GitHub space or whatever we can come up with. And
yeah, exactly. The aggregation point is here, what I hear, and we just make to sure that there's a strict priority in the nodes that we refer to and put the ones we want there at the top. That's what I'm hearing now. Okay, yeah. Sure.
Okay. Right. So, well, and with this we have exhausted the arguments for today's. So, do we have any other business to discuss? No, not hearing anyone wanted to propose this. So the next meeting is going to be in 2 weeks and on the 20th, if I understand my calendar correctly. Yes, but that as a conflict for me with the ATF hackathon, and maybe someone else, probably Dave, will be there as well.
Yep, I'll be there.
So I'm not sure I won't be able to make it for that time. What is the situation with the other folks? Is anyone wanting to bring something to the fore, agenda wise or?
Well, we still have the use case document that is somehow there, but not. We have to really put some commitment and time into that, which unfortunately, in the time of the ITF hackathon, is diverted to another place. Yeah. So, but the topic exists. So maybe we should make it dependent on discussing who assign homework to some Thomases that are not attending the AAA meeting then, and then they have to do it, for example.
I mean, Mike, I will prod Mike on this offline and see where it goes. But really, what we said last time is that we wanted input from everyone on this, and so we said please participate on the Google Doc and discuss there. But we need someone that actually drives the thing, apparently, because there's not enough energy at the moment to get to a meaningful point here. It seems to me, at least. So yes, I will follow up with Mike and we'll see how to drive this. But still, what we want to do do we want to have a meeting in a couple of weeks, or do we want to skip this and regroup in a month?
I think a regrouping in a month sounds good if we have conflicts in the next.
Yeah.
I think, Thomas, what we should do is, this is my suggestion, you put both the options in the Slack channel, because right now I think the attendance here itself is thin. So to convene a meeting in 2 weeks or not, I don't know, is this the right set of audience in terms of numbers to say whether conclusively say that? Yeah, just
that's a very good point, Yogesh. Yeah. Yes, I will bring this to the channel.
Yeah.
Right, and yeah. If there's no other business to discuss, we can close this early. Give back 20 minutes.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.